Hi, welcome to Transfer Tea. Today I'm here with Clary and Audrey, and we're going to be talking about their two different journeys in community college and how you can make the most of your time there, regardless of the major that you're taking. So, to start, I think either Clary or Audrey can go first, but could you just give a little background on who you are, what you're studying, maybe where you go to school, and things like that?
For sure. Hi, so I'm Audrey. I'm a second year at Diablo Valley College studying business administration and management.
Hi, my name's Clary. I'm also a student at Diablo Valley College studying computer science and data science. I'm also a second year student.
Could we maybe talk about like you both are taking very different major paths? Was that always the intention? I guess kind of did you expect you'd be kind of on the same timeline? Like how did that change? And what do you think has been, I don't know, like what has sort of helped you figure out what you even wanted to study and then begin taking advantage of what your CC offers for that?
So growing up, me and Audrey, we were both very STEM oriented. Everyone in our family is actually like a business person. It was weird because I think both of us really liked math and science in general, but because of the pandemic, like Audrey shifted. She had this whole epiphany of like wanting to do business and econ, but I stayed with it. And to be honest, like back in high school, I didn't have computer science as a major as a subject. I just had computer theory, like ICT, which is pretty different because we didn't do any programming at all. It was only HTML and CSS to like the maximum, which isn't even a programming language. But at least in like the US, we start with like intro classes, so it's okay. Like it wasn't that bad for me to like transition from zero knowledge to like actually starting. I think what helped me decide on my major was that I didn't find business like ever interesting. Even now I still don't. I took business statistics like this semester. And it was still pretty boring for me, even as a data science major, right? My family, even though all of us is like business, I chose them because I think my best subject even now, it's not even computer science, it's math. So I wanted something that was math heavy, but also like applicable in real life. Because if you study like pure math, it's a lot of theory that you won't ever use in real life. So I wanted to do something useful.
Exactly what she said. I used to be really involved in science. I would join science competitions and math competitions. We were like that. But then around 2020, when the stock market crashed and all that, I just got really, really into understanding the stock market and even like our macroeconomy on a broader level, which kind of shifted my love to economics. And yeah, I did take economics without the approval of my parents, but it turned out to be like the best decision of my life. And I just ended up loving business and economics so much that I just, yeah, completely pivoted after that. And the reason that the whole different paths Ariana has been talking about is so I'm only completing college and university in 2 years as opposed to Clary who's doing the traditional 4 years because I'm accelerating all my classes because I don't know guys, I chose to do it the harder route. I told Clary, don't try to rush it in computer science because then you're gonna have to compromise your grades, and that's just not ideal.
No, it sounds totally right. And I think just generally, like those engineering classes can sometimes be a little bit tougher. How has it been? I know one thing about the two of you is you have some like overlapping clubs that you're a part of. I know, Claire, you said like you still participate in some stuff still, even though it might not directly relate to your major. And Audrey, you're pretty involved at school. And so, how did you guys get involved in that? And what, especially now after like a few years of being super involved would you recommend, especially if someone's just starting out in community college to try to get, like more into the school and more into activities that are relevant to them?
So usually at the beginning of the semester, we do have this thing called club day. So that was really, really helpful just to kind of like interact with the clubs that you're interested in. And we actually came to DVC in this awkward stage of spring. So elections didn't even happen at that time, but regardless, I was like determined, right? And so I contacted like the president of like each and every club, and it was like it was actually the art club that I first reached out. I was like, oh, do you guys have any open positions? And even though they technically didn't have, just by constantly like talking to them, they like opened up a position for me to become their ICC executive. And then, from them, like it really allowed me to have more roles within school. And fun fact, now I'm the president of the art club. So that's like so cool, right? Like the progression. Like it really just starts with like the small thing and then you just make your way to more and more roles. Like I feel like the more involved you are in school, the easier it is to also have other resources because your friends from these clubs will tell you about like, oh, did you know this club is recruiting or all that, and also Instagram, the Instagrams of each of these clubs.
Want to come in and just say, I think the idea of persistence and like just even if they don't have anything posted or you're in an off season, just to reach out and at least like talk to people and see because that's really cool and like it totally led you in a cool direction. So I just want to highlight that. That's awesome.
Exactly, because like literally there were no positions open like during spring, but I managed to somehow get 3 executive roles like just from reaching out. Like it's crazy.
Positions mostly open by the end of spring semester, but she got these roles like at the beginning of the semester. I guess I had like a different experience on this because I I I joined like computer science clubs, right? And I would only join this one club because I was adapting. I was taking like a bunch of credits. My first semester, 16 credits, all STEM. I was stressed. So I would only have time for one club. And it was online. Like computer science clubs, they aren't like even my thing, you know? It's very sad, which is why I think that it's really important now. Like I see to join clubs that aren't really directed to your major, just anything you find interesting. Like I'm also in the art club, and it's actually probably my favorite club on campus because we do stuff that's like tangible, and I don't know, people there, like I'm also there for the community. Whereas in like at least when I was in spring last semester, a lot of these clubs were still online, so I didn't get to interact with a lot of people. And unfortunately, like the CS stereotype, it's true, you know, and it's weird because as a freshman, you still have like a lot of personality, a lot of life, and then these people, they're really anti-social. They wouldn't switch on their cameras or their microphones. I say like explore stuff, like don't just go to like one club, maybe. And actually, like at the end of the semester, I tried to apply for a position in that club, and they rejected me actually because in DVC, like I guess we're pretty famous. We're pretty famous, so a lot of people actually do apply to these clubs. Like it's actually competitive. It's okay. Like I tried to apply for that club. They didn't want me, I guess because I guess maybe we didn't vibe. But anyway, I basically last semester I actually went to every single club, like for socials or everything. Like I even went to business clubs just to and actually I enjoyed my time more in these business clubs because they actually like made me more like open to like new connections. I made so many more new friends just by going to one business social compared to like the amount of times I went to like a computer science club. I tried a different computer science club that was actually like offline, and I'm in the club now, and it's actually a better club. It's the Google Developers Club.
I think it's really cool that you didn't just give up and think like, okay, then these all just suck. You just kind of let yourself explore. And I think, like you said, like the goal can just be to make friends or to network or try to find a community. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm CS, I'm directly going to do this thing. But I'm glad you found a different place that kind of fits as well with your major. I know that you're both kind of also involved outside of school with some different things that you do. And so, how do you balance your outside extracurriculars with schoolwork and with on-campus extracurriculars and just generally like what or do you not you don't every day is just a living a mess.
Schedule is like a whirlwind of activities both off campus and on campus, so it's kind of crazy. Apart from like our on campus extracurriculars, we also co-founded a nonprofit back home in Indonesia where we oversee a team of 28 teachers and we build like schools all over Indonesia. So that takes up a good portion of our time, like just managing a whole business. And so so that's one. And then apart from that, I'm also involved in a club at Berkeley as well. So that is another thing. And how I even figured out that club was again through connections, really from networking. So the president was an alumni at BBC before she transferred, and she actually came to our business club to promote her a Berkeley club. So I kind of reached out to her again because technically, like I'm not even a Berkeley student, right? But I got to be a part of that club through connecting with her. And so I think really my whole sentiment is really utilize your kind of make your network, your connections in college and then see what opportunities can stem out of that. And okay, so how do I manage it? Really just time management. Honestly, yes, I have to fix my sleep schedule. But I think honestly, okay, I'm really taking advantage of like community college, like the flexibility that's offered in community college. Like some of my classes are online, so it does help with the flexibility a lot. Can't lie about that. Like it really helps the flexibility. And also, I guess the rigor, it is hard. Like DVC is hard, okay? But I think like compared to like a 4-year university, it probably is easier, right? So I'm like taking 20 credits is still manageable, on top of all these things. But really, I think it's time management, really being effective in your studying. Like really, like don't waste too much time studying, honestly. Like like you really gotta hustle.
I have something to say here. And this is where I have to say something because I think it's a little different for STEM. I mean, I guess for one, like STEM, at the end of the day, calculus, it's all the same. It's just the same rules. At the end of the day, all you need is to know the concepts. At least for me, I'm not just a full-time student. I also have a bunch of clubs, and this semester alone, I actually competed in this business competition that took 4 months of my time. I'm not even a business student, and I was working on that for weeks with mentors and all that. It actually took so much of my time. So I wouldn't say that 20 credits STEM, like that's gonna kill me, So like I would say know your limits. But yeah, I actually got a better GPA when I did not rot in my bed and like just study because I know that was my mindset my first semester here. Like I was so stressed with just physics and physics and physics that my roommates, they were concerned for me. They were like, Clary, I'm gonna take you out. Like you gotta get out, you know. But now that they're no longer with me, they transferred to Berkeley. I actually have to remind myself, like, okay, it's 12 a.m. in the morning. Like you have to sleep because you know that you won't function. Like I take really early classes, and most of my classes, because they're STEM, they are offline. So I actually go to class quite often and really early. So I know that, okay, I need sleep because I know I won't be able to do my homework if I'm not functioning right.
Yeah, I think those are two like interesting different experiences, but also like kind of overlapping perspectives. One kind of question I wanted to ask, and I don't actually know what your answers will be, but it's just like having kind of two different time, I guess, periods that you're spending in CC and like different, like doing a lot of similar things, but also like different classes and different focuses. I feel like you both have an interesting perspective on what it means to like be successful and make the most of your time in community college. And so how do you, if someone asks you like how could I be successful in community college to try to feel confident when I transfer, like what would you tell them? And I'm just curious if your answers are like similar or different.
Answer this. I feel like being successful in community college is being engaged with your community, really making the most out of your resources here. Because when you realize community college actually gives you a lot of resources, they actually literally hand it out to you. You just have to accept it. I'm part of student government where, it's the interclub council. So we're a subsector of the student government who deals with clubs, and I help clubs manage and like promote their activities around campus. So I literally know everything that's going on. And DVC actually has a really, really vibrant club life, especially this past year. We started the last semester, with only 30 clubs, but now I think we have 70 clubs. Yeah, we have 70 clubs now, 66 clubs. So we literally increased that by 40. And when we told like the district council about this, they were so impressed at like the growth, considering like we're a community college. Being successful in community college means like really taking the most out of your resources. Like you see these clubs, right? Reach out to them, like apply to the positions. Don't give up when you get rejected or if you get rejected. I think yes, academics is important, but also being successful at the end of the day, what's also making like the memories, it's also like the club experiences and the friends you gain from clubs. Because I think my experience at community college has been so enjoyable because of all these different activities that I'm in and all the different people I get to meet. And it's really like this influx of knowledge from like all of these places that really keeps you going.
Right. That's a really interesting take for Audrey. And I think, well, because I also talked to Ariana and all this, what I would say to someone if they ask me, what do you think I could do to make myself feel like ready to transfer? I guess Audrey's more club oriented. I would say, like, I would ask them first, like, what do you want to do? Like, when you transfer, or like, what are your long-term goals? because I mean, I don't think that it's absolutely necessary to be in like 10 different clubs to be like a successful transfer. Audrey's in a lot of clubs, but I'm only in 3. I take my community college experience very seriously, so I make sure that I commit and have enough time to do my best in all of my clubs. That's so I don't want to like overload myself with everything and then like slack at the end of the day. I don't want to do that. I would ask them first, like, what do you want to do? Because you don't have to be in 5 clubs, and like don't just join clubs just because you want your resume to look good. Like, no, join stuff that you actually like. I think a lot of people, they also come to CC not knowing what they like, so clubs is also a good way to like figure out different interests. Also classes, but yeah. As for resources, an underrated thing not a lot of people actually use, even though it's like there for a reason. You actually pay for this, guys. It's office hour. I love office hours, especially for STEM, like physics. I never missed my physics professor's office hours. I was seeing him like every single day. Yeah, so that's actually why like me and my physics professor were quite close. So I'm actually getting like a letter of recommendation from him. So at the end of the day, it works out for me too. That's also part of your resources, right? Also for math, like I wasn't even struggling for calculus 2, but I would go to office hour just to tell my professor, like, hey, professor, like, I figured out this question, but I didn't even, like, I don't think I did it the right way. So I would just ask her stuff. And these professors, because I go to office hour, like, they remember me and then they can write letters of recommendations for me because, like, next semester I plan on tutoring and I need letter from recommendation from them. So it's like, it's weird, right? If they don't even know who you are, how can you ask something like that?
Yes, that's another thing, like academically, from an academic standpoint, I do appreciate that in community colleges, like our class sizes are a lot smaller. So that allows us to connect with our professors a lot easier. Attending office hours can help you boost your academics tremendously, yeah, in terms of being transfer ready.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think just taking advantage of your resources and understanding that there's so much offered to you, whether it be like extracurriculars that you do on campus or even just be like ways you can further pursue your academics. And I love that so much. So I'm just curious, like, how has this decision been for you? I mean, like finishing high school early, starting college young, and like doing especially the community college route. How has that felt? And what are you looking forward to as like your next step?
Honestly, it's like the best decision of my life because not only am I saving a lot of money by doing this, by really accelerating high school, I'm saving 2 years of high school and also 2 years of like university, right? Because we're international students and we barely get aid. We're saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've calculated and I've like told my mom all this, like that's what actually got her to agree. And apart from money, we're also saving a lot of time. Like going to community college allows me to skip like 2 years of school, and I also feel like by going to community college, and also I'm an international student, so by moving all the way to California, it's really allowed me to grow so much as a person, be independent, take and like I feel like I became a more outgoing person who really just takes and like seizes any opportunity she gets. Like I think it's really like developed me as a person. Yeah, I think like going to community college was such a great decision for me and I wouldn't like change it. And what do I see myself like in the future? Honestly, like at any university I'll transfer to, like I think I'll just like this character development of like going pushing your boundaries and like really taking the most of your resources and like speaking out. I think I'll just continue to implement this and like really just being active and like just shooting your shot at everything everywhere. Yeah. And like we'll see where that gets me.
Yeah, I was just reflecting on this earlier today morning. Oddly enough, like I think I've changed a lot. Like even last semester I was so different. Before coming into community college, I was much more different. I realized that, now I'm the type of person who will say yes to anything. Any opportunity I get, I'll say yeah. Like Ariana wants to do a podcast. Yeah, let's do it. Like I'll say yes to everything now. Especially like as international students back home in high school, like we didn't get any of these clubs. We didn't get a lot of extracurriculars. Like we made all of these extracurriculars on our own, volunteer work. It was all on us. I would say that community college also helped me. It's a good transition, especially since we wanted to like skip 2 years of high school. It's not as bad as like just transferring immediately to a 4 year, but it also prepares us to transfer a 4 year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, as we kind of wrap up here, is there anything that you want to kind of leave the listeners with from your experiences?
Yeah, I think really while you're at community college, I think you should also start with like an end goal that's like whether that's transferring or just like succeeding in community college. And really from like having this goal, work yourself like systematically, like in steps, like how do I achieve this goal? Like whether that's making clubs, making friends from clubs and all that. And I think that will enrich your community college experience by a lot. So yeah, start with a goal and then work yourself towards that goal. It will like really help with like avoiding being overwhelmed and all that.
I agree with Audrey actually. Like I know a lot of community college students, they feel a lot of like FOMO. I think the community, having friends, like developing friends, like actually going out of class, not just not I know a lot of people like we're commuters, right? So they just come to class and then they leave and then they feel like the 2 years they're in community college, they don't make any connections and it's like such a dull time in their life. But for us, like my social life is thriving. Like I'm actually doing very well with my classes and I'm making friends and I'm having a decent amount of like sleep. Like I'm
I'm not.
so I would say like find a community. It's also really important. It helps you like get through stuff and find people that are similar to you so that they can also become like your support system.
In community college, find also highly motivated people who can really push you as well to achieving your goals. I think that's super important. And usually if like you join clubs, I think you'll also find
And
like
it's actually interesting for me, right? Because I know that in computer science, some of them they can like be like sharks, they want to compete, so they would like gatekeep. But like you will find some nice people who want to share, and those are the people that you want to like keep in touch with. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to just talk through this. I'm excited to see where you transfer to, either if it's this year or next year. But yeah, this was so great, and hopefully people get something out of it to make their own college experiences well worth it.